Welcome back to another episode of A Shot of Weeb. I'm one of your hosts, the Student Ambassador, and I'm joined by, as always, by the Epic Wop.
I thought you were going to forget my name for a moment.
I thought I was going to forget speaking for a moment, honestly. It was that was rough.
You looked like it, yeah.
So what did we watch these past 2 weeks?
These past 2 weeks, oh buddy, there's a story here for that. So this episode is officially on Kore wa Zombie Desu of the Dead, which is the second season. That's what we're going to be labeling it as. That's what we're going to be talking about for the bulk of it. However, I'm going to go into context for a second and tell you the reason that we're doing the second season here. Those of you who follow our social medias or already know this, or if you're watching this in the future, so that you know what happened, we already recorded an episode on the first season of this. It was supposed to go live last Saturday.
Yeah.
And we got together, we watched the show, we drank a bit, and we recorded our episode. And at the end of it,
Just like
OBS... At the end of it, OBS gave me a big middle finger, looked me dead in the eye, and chucked all my audio out the window.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So, that episode is lost to the nether until I learn how to read lips, which is probably going to be never.
Yeah. We do have my half of the audio, which we're not going to upload, but if you want to hear half the conversation.
It's a bonus episode incoming. No, we have your half of the audio, and we have my video, but no sound, which is not very helpful on an audio form podcast.
Yeah.
So, theoretically, we could figure out subtitles for it and slap it on YouTube sometime in the future, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't want to put in that much work, honestly.
I don't have the time for that.
That's what I meant.
Pizzas to make to cover my rent.
Yeah.
So what we're planning to do then in that case is we're going to take a little bit at the very beginning of this episode, so as soon as I'm done rambling on here, we're going to basically summarize Season 1 in a nutshell, and we're going to reiterate the final thoughts that we would have given at the end of the normal Kore wa Zombie Desu episode.
Yeah.
Before we fully kick into gear and talk about Season 2, because we can get away with that. Season 2, also known as Kore wa Zombie Desu of the Dead, ignoring the awful punctuation of that. I don't understand. It's a shorter show. It's only 10 episodes, so I think we can spare a little bit of time to talk about the first season.
Yeah. And we also didn't watch any of the OVAs yet.
Yeah.
Just didn't feel like it was super necessary. I just don't think we wanted to.
We're both planning to watch the OVAs separately, but we have no intention of discussing it on here at the moment.
Yeah. Nope.
Anyway, we basically watched an OVA at the end of the first season anyway.
Oh, yeah, that was wild. But before we get into all that, we do have a shot to take.
Yes, we do. We have
the nominal name of the show.
The nominal shot of weeb to take.
That's it. So whenever you're ready.
Working on it. I got my vodka here. We both got Svedka this week, right? Yeah.
We do, yeah.
That's the other thing. I was frustrated we lost last episode because, y'all have heard me on these episodes go a little bit wild with vodka. Last week was chill. I didn't do vodka. I got my hands on some Angry Orchard. You know how hard that is to find out here? Yeah, I got my hands on some Orchard. It was nice and chill.
It really sucks having to, how hard it is to find the chain brand of cider when there's all these other, smaller breweries where you live. Just for cider. It's a real shame.
Okay, man, I don't need you to call me out like that.
All right,
just take your freaking shot, man. I don't want to deal
Gunpie.
with that. Yeah.
Ooh, man.
I swear it gets worse every week.
It's so weird. It's it depends on which number shot it is for me.
Mm-hmm.
The first one's always the easiest. Second one's always the worst. This one's always kind of in the middle, and the fourth one is it's like it peaks at number 2 and it's slowly going down with how easy it is to take them.
Mine really depends
what
on...
What happens when you drink alcohol? Is that why you become an alcoholic?
I mean, oh my. Mine, it depends on which one I have, because, I mean, you can see, if you're on the YouTube upload of this, you can see over here on my, what I call the not sponsored table, I have 2 different bottles of Svedka, because when it started to turn cold, I stocked up a little bit. The strawberry lemonade one is like, that one will kick my teeth in if I'm not paying attention, but the raspberry one is like super, super chill. Why do you think the raspberry one is almost gone already, whereas I've barely touched the strawberry lemonade?
Makes sense, yeah. I just stick with the blue raspberry. It's good.
I would stick with the blue raspberry if I could bloody well find any. Jeez.
All right, well, let's talk about some anime, bro. It's enough about alcohol.
Some anime. So let's speed summarize season 1. Let's hit the major plot points, because season 1 did have a story.
Yes.
And I feel like
narrative.
Had an overarching narrative, and don't look at me like that.
I got you.
I'll also go over the five main characters.
Yeah, there's 5.
I forgot to count the zombie.
Yeah.
The zombie that the show was named after.
Oh yeah.
Because let's be real, this is at its core a harem show, so only the girls matter. Obviously.
Not even like at its core, it just is. It doesn't even try to hide it.
It doesn't try to hide it. Less so in the first season, in my opinion. I mean, obviously it still was, but I don't think it was like as central. I mean, okay, you know what? Discredit my information.
It 100% was a harem all the way through and through.
I think what I'm trying to say is I'm skipping ahead a little bit to say they cranked it up in season 2.
Yes. That I can agree with. It's still fully and truly a harem, though, season 1.
So, I'll let you take this part. What are the 5... Give the TLDR about the 5 main characters from season 1. Actually, all right, let's make it 6 and count Tominori. What's her real name? Yuki? Maelstrom. Count Maelstrom in there.
Wait, which?
Ariel? His wife.
Well, yeah, that's the...
Oh. I wasn't counting her in main cast.
That's the 5th one.
Oh, she is.
Who are you counting then?
Wait, no, yeah, that's right. Hold on. She's one of the 4 girls and then the zombie. Never mind. Yeah. There's the 5 of them. Go. Ignore me.
Okay.
I'm not good talk.
To go. All right, so first off, we got our boy, our main man, the zombie, Ayumu Aikawa. He's dead, but he's an undead. So he's like come back from the dead,
it's like half dead.
It's like what a zombie is.
And
so he gets killed a lot. Yes, it is. He gets killed a lot, and the person who made him a zombie is Euclid Hellscythe. And she is a necromancer. She is a lolly. She is adorable. And he views her like as a little sister.
And is voiced by 17 different people.
Yeah, because she can't talk. Because she's so powerful that if she speaks, it'll become into reality or whatever. Or whoever hears it, it will affect them or whatever. And so she writes on a notepad, but then Ayumu will have these visions of what he thinks is happening because he's a weak-willed protagonist.
Very.
And everyone is done by a different voice actress, and it's carried on into season 2, which I very much appreciate.
Yeah, they did. They stuck with it.
And it says the voice actress on screen, in a scroll by, which is great. I love that so much. So she's living with him. And then the next person to come into the household is Haruna. She is a... oh, man. What? How did they... It wasn't Maho Shoujo.
I think it's Majo
Shoujo? Masho Shoujo?
It's either Majo or Masho.
Anyway, she's a magical girl, basically, but she uses a chainsaw. That's her transformation item.
Instead of magical, it translates to magic clad.
Yeah, magic clad. Yeah, magic clad girl. Yep. And so she uses a chainsaw, and then when they first meet, she kills Ayumu. Doesn't know he's a vampire, but still, she's just kind of all right,
vampire.
Not vampire. That's later.
Someone else is a vampire.
Zombie. Doesn't know he's a zombie, but still kills him anyways. Cuts him in half to kill a bear, and then just like what happens in the first episode of Bleach, Ayumu gets all of her powers, and so she can no longer transform into a magic-clad girl, and he has to transform into the magic-clad girl. And so then Haruna lives with him until her powers come back. And then for the fourth character is Seraphim, or Sera, and she is a ninja vampire. And she has big tits.
And leaves.
And she's very tsundere. Yeah, she uses leaves to like create weapons and stuff. I don't remember why she. Oh yeah. She is sent by her clan to take Euclid, or Yu as she's called, to take Yu back to the clan, and so she's living with them to convince Yu at first. I think
It's something like that.
it's something like that. It's not really that important. Nobody gives a shit.
I would like to reiterate a tiny bit of the conversation we had for the previous episode because it helps explain it a lot to me. So I'd like to go over it again real quickly. I believe in our discussion you agreed that both Sera and Haruna fall under the tsundere description, but they were like different halves of it.
Yeah. So Haruna is a tsundere, and kind of like more what you. I think she's closer to like Taiga, in that sense. I know you haven't seen Toradora, but Taiga from Toradora.
Someday you'll reference a show I know.
Eventually, yeah. But she's like, I think she's even more so than that because she like. She's more open with how she feels towards him, but her actions lead him to not take it seriously, kind of thing. Whereas like Sera is a more of like a tsundere.
Very aggressive and insulting.
Yes, she insults him all the time. Like, and if she does accidentally slip up and what's the word? Not insult. What's that other word? It's like opposite.
I don't think she ever compliments him. There's just times where she forgets to insult him.
Well, no, there was one time where she accidentally like complimented him, and then she like left. Then she came back and was like, "What I meant to say was this," and then like calls him some like worm or some like insect.
Yeah, because she does that a couple of times in the first season. Because there was one in particular that I found very entertaining, where she like just said something like very basic, like "Wait here till I come back," flies off, lands. Wait here till I come back, you disgusting being, and then flies off again. I'm just like, okay, that's good.
It is good, yeah. And then for our last character, we have Yuki Yoshida, and she is another vampire ninja
from the opposite clan.
Yes, she's from the. I think she's from the. At least the way my subtitles translate, she was like the liberal clan, where Sera is from the conservative clan.
Yeah, I can't speak to that because that never came up in my subs. That was entirely on you.
It only came up like once or twice, and I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me, at least. But like why that was the translation. But anyways, yeah, they're in different clans. But Yuki shows up about what, like midway through season 1,
something like that. Yeah, she shows up. Somewhere around like 4 or 5 or something, and starts throwing soup around.
Yeah, to kill the beasts, whatever they're called. I don't remember. But she does all that, and then Haruna pushes Ayumu in like a tsundere way, and he falls on top of Yuki and kisses Yuki, and in Yuki's clan, they're married. That's it.
Hands down official.
It's official. Doesn't matter who saw it. They're married, and she's going to live by the letter of the law. And so then that kind of becomes her role. She doesn't move in with them. Because
she's the only one that does not move in with Ayumu.
Yeah. But she will cook him lunch every day, which also Haruna does as well. But Haruna is... she has very specific tastes.
It's just eggs. Only eggs.
It's literally just eggs. That's all she cooks is eggs. And it's a good gag that they continue to use. But Yuki cooks like regular meals, like balanced meals and stuff.
And then destroys them with like sauces.
Yeah. Eventually she stops though, luckily. Because oh man.
It was egregious.
It was bad, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that's like the main cast, and like we've also got like some of the minor ones, like Sarasvati, who is Seraphim's sister, like older sister.
Wait, they're actually siblings?
I thought they were.
Oh, are they? They might be. I never actually caught on to that.
Pretty sure.
I actually wasn't going to
40
go into secondary characters because one thing that is worth mentioning is season 2. One of the things that they really set out to do in season 2 was expand the roles of the secondary characters. All of the secondary characters became significantly more important in the second season.
And I think part of that's too because most of like the main character arcs I feel were like kind of accomplished for the main cast, at least their first character arc.
Yeah, more or less, like, except for like Haruna.
Yeah, but even hers was like to an extent was resolved to where they didn't have to like have a whole season dedicated to her.
Yeah,
kind of deal. But yeah, I mean, like, but I don't know, like, almost all the characters that show up in season 2, also are from season 1.
Yeah, there's only like 1 or 2 completely new characters.
Yeah.
I think one new character is this fairy that I don't remember if they gave her a name until the second half.
I think she's in the. I think she's new to season 2. Chris.
I believe so as well.
And I don't like. I mean, like we haven't watched the OVAs, but from the way she was introduced, I don't think she came from the OVAs, because. Well, we'll get into that.
She seemed introduced with no context, but she becomes important in the second half, so I'm sure we'll talk plenty about her.
Yeah, we will. Let's do your quick rundown. I've done all the characters now. Let's get season 1 out of the way, so we talk about.
I am just going to like really fast, rapid fire hit the story points, and let's do like what our initial final thoughts were.
That works for me.
So after all the characters meet up, I'm just going to skip until after all the characters are there. They're fighting these monsters. They start to escalate. Ayumu, his like motivation is that he was killed by a serial killer. He's out to find the serial killer. His friend's basically little sister is in the hospital. She was attacked by the killer, but not died. But then
His childhood friend.
Yeah.
But
also she wasn't, and we find that out later.
Yeah.
She commits suicide in the hospital because reasons. But then they find out that the hospital girl was the serial killer. She was also, therefore, the one who killed Ayumu, and then they fight, and then they beat her up and is like, hey, stop doing bad. And she's like, okay. It doesn't go quite that easily, but that's basically the gist of it.
Yeah.
Dai Sensei shows up, who is the like lead superior over Haruna's order, and she takes the girl away, and then the Night King shows up and possesses her, and the Night King is like a bad guy who is also a zombie raised by you, just like Ayumu, except he wants to die, and so his like entire arc is trying to force you to kill him, and she doesn't want to do it. But then they have this really big confrontation where the whole gang has to like fight, and then Ayumu and you confront the Night King, and they fight and they beat him, and he's just like, dude, I don't want to fight you, just kill me. And she's like, okay, fine, if it makes you shut up, and she does it.
Yeah, well, also, like, Ayumu, like,
has, like, a very moving monologue, yeah.
Yeah. And, like, yeah, because he kind of, or he doesn't understand why the guy wants to die, because he hasn't been alive long enough, I think. Mm-hmm. But he's able to, like, comfort you to be like, yeah, I'll be here. So, yeah. like you'll still have me, even if he's gone, kind of deal.
And that was skipping a lot of stuff, but again, I didn't want to spend too much time on it. That's the gist of the story. That ends in episode 11.
There's a big flying sky whale at some point.
The sky whale was amazing. There was also a very beautiful sequence. I'm very disappointed this wasn't saved from our first episode, but there's a very beautiful sequence where Sarah, like, breaks her tradition, but then gets all the vampires to rally with her anyway, and they play music to send the demons back, and it's a very beautiful scene.
It really is, yeah. It has a really nice ending. Well, I mean, it would. If episode 12 wasn't
so the story,
obligatory, like, pool episode.
The story concludes in episode 11, so episode 12, they go to a pool complex because they have one more episode to make their quota. And Sarasvati, who is like this super serious other vampire, we mentioned her already, she's a pop star and starts singing at the pool. So they hang out at the pool, and Sarasvati sings at the pool, and then everybody else sings at the pool. Because, like, Sarah goes to confront her and be like, hey, what are you doing? And they're like, sing. And she says, okay. And then Haruna gets jelly and is like, I'm going to sing. And they say, okay. And then Yu is like, I'm jelly, I want to sing. And puts her powers into Ayumu so that she can go sing, and then everybody goes and sings, and it's a happy end, and the season's over.
Yeah, it really felt like an OVA.
It was basically an OVA.
Yeah, it was just like an extra episode. It was not a satisfying ending to the season at all.
Which is why we initially didn't watch the OVA, because 12 basically was an OVA already, so we didn't really want to talk about an 11-episode show and 2 OVAs.
Yeah. I'm sure they're fine, but it's just such a weird decision to keep that as like a proper episode of the show.
Yeah. I think we should blend. We had a really good Best Girl debate in our first episode that has now gone to the void. I think we should combine that into a new, reforged Best Girl debate later on. So why don't you, because I've been rambling for a bit, go ahead and give a summary of the final thoughts that you gave at the end of the... I'm going to refer to it as the Lost episode from now. What did you end the Lost episode with? Thoughts and ratings.
Yeah, okay, so I thought the season overall was pretty good. It had like a nice story that continued it, like, made you keep watching. The characters were fun. And like it didn't do anything like revolutionary. I mean, I think both of us have seen a few harem shows. Like I liked harem back in the day. I still do, but
it's a genre that I have a weak spot for.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. It wasn't like... It was very different from what I thought it would be based on the wall scrolls that I would see at conventions and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was still fun. So, I mean, my score was a 7, and I'm going to stick with that. And like a good show. It's not one that I'm going to like probably go back to anytime soon, but like it was fun. It was fun. So,
yeah. I actually had pretty similar thoughts. This is a very unusual occurrence for me and Seaweed. But basically I thought that, I liked the humor, I liked the characters. The story was decent, but it could tend, and I think we both agreed on this, that it could tend to be a little bit discordant between the humor aspect of it and the, serious story aspect. Like, they didn't always mesh together very well.
That was one of the things I said as well, is that, like, the tonal shifts were, like, really sudden.
Yeah.
I remember talking about that last
Both
week.
aspects were really, really great, but they didn't necessarily come together the best. However, I did still overall enjoy the show, and I enjoyed it a lot more than, frankly, a lot of the shows we've watched on this podcast. And so I gave my final rating as an 8, which for me is in the good bracket. It's literally in the middle of the good bracket, so it's not some top-tier quality that I'm going to go back and rewatch every year and highly recommend people to watch. But I might tell people to check it out on occasion. I probably won't ever rewatch it, but I will remember that I enjoyed seeing it. And so, my final was an 8. I think it was good. It was decent.
It's about where I landed, Yeah.
That is about right about the least disparity between our ratings in a single episode, except for the one time that we agreed.
Which was Kill la Kill.
Where we both were like, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's Kill la Kill. All right, well, I guess it's about time for season 2.
Time for us to start the episode proper.
Of the Dead.
Of the Dead. With the question mark after Deska, because that... I'm sure anyone already watching this podcast would be familiar enough to be able to know. The English title for that is This a Zombie? So it's punctuated that way. Kore wa Zombie Desu ka? Question mark of the Dead. That bothers me.
It's whatever. Like...
it's not right.
I've seen worse. Dog, I've seen worse in anime. Like, at least it's not, like, working. I don't know if you've ever seen how they write their sequels, but sometimes you'll have, like, they'll do, like, 1 exclamation point, then 2 exclamation points, then 3 exclamation points.
You've made me watch 2 different shows that did that same style.
Did I?
Is the Order a Rabbit just adds exclamation points and...
Oh, yeah, and they've recently messed it up with season 3.
Binan Coco whatever just adds loves to the end.
Yeah, okay. But here's the thing. What I meant with working is sometimes they'll put a period in front of, like, the exclamation points, sometimes they'll put like a question mark in there somewhere. It's like so confusing. It makes absolutely no sense. Where at least with Binan Koko Chiku Boy Boo Love, okay, you've got Love season 1, then Love Love is season 2, Love 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 is the final OVA movie thing, and then with Is the Order of Rabbit, it's 1 question mark for season 1, 2 question mark for season 2, but they messed it up with season 3 because it's 2 question marks and then Bloom. 3 question marks, guys. 3.
I mean, it's better than a show that I really enjoyed. I'm spoiling my thoughts on a show that we might eventually talk about. It's better than trying to remember the exact title of Keijo, which has specifically 8 exclamation points.
I knew it was 8.
Specifically 8, and it's the only season, so that's not like season 8. They didn't just keep tacking exclamations on there.
They just got really excited.
They got really excited for Keijo, which, to be fair, who wouldn't?
Yeah. Well, it's like that old theory. I don't know if you saw this. This is an old theory from like back when we were in high school.
Okay.
I guess it's not like that old, but like still. The more exclamation points that are on something, the more gay it is. And here's... All right. Well, here's the 3 examples that was always used, right? So first you have... Well, okay. So the first one you got is Free, right?
Okay.
You know Free, right? The swimming anime with the hot boys. It's great show. Got 1 exclamation point.
Is Yuri on Ice going to be one of those?
Second season, Haikyuu, or second series, Haikyuu. 2 exclamation points after Haikyuu.
Okay.
Third one, Yuri on Ice, 3 exclamation points, and it's actually fully gay. Like no questions asked.
How gay is Keijo then?
Well, I don't know. It is girls, bumping butts, so.
That's fair. Oh, jeez.
But we're not talking about bumping butts today.
Unfortunately, no.
Well, a little bit, actually. But not in that way.
Wait,
Not
what?
in that way.
Okay.
Well, Sarasvati kind of wants a piece of that ass.
Oh, jeez.
So.
Okay, I'm gonna... let this be the first thing that we say about Kore wa Zombie Desu of the Dead. We spend so much time looking and discussing Ayumu's butt in this show.
Yep.
Way too much.
Is it too much, though?
I mean, I don't know about you.
Are we sure about that?
I don't know about you, but I'm not into a man's ass that much.
Well, I mean, you do know about me, and I'm not into, into that either. But, is it too much? That's the question. If we're going to, throw up is it too much? What is enough?
What exactly is the quotient
What's
of
the
enough?
quantification? Give me your equation on how to find the perfect amount of butt.
Jeez, I will, you know what? I will write out the mathematical proof in my off time.
I appreciate your service.
I'm going to need the freaking Futurama math team in on this.
All right. Well, I don't know where to go from here. You want to just start at the beginning? Oh,
sure.
Oh my God! 1 second, I gotta knock on my door.
Oh no! Episode 1.
You go to start. Okay. Okay.
Oh,
I'll bring us back in.
That was me bringing it back in, and then you started talking.
Well, hey, now you know how it feels, Buster.
What? I totally don't do that at all.
All right. Sorry about the quick interruption there. We're back though.
He's a freaking nerd having real life things to deal with. Episode 1, the reason I initially thought I had booted up an OVA again instead of episode 1 because they're back at the pool from the end of season 1 in the first episode of this. Or did I actually watch an OVA?
You might have watched an OVA. Hold up. Yeah, you watched the OVA.
Wait, did I actually? Hold on.
You watched episode 0. I didn't watch that.
Wait, no, but I have 10 episodes of notes. Does that mean I just skipped one?
You must have.
Hold on. I don't care if this slows things down. You can skip this if you need to. I am looking into this because I definitely didn't watch episode 0. Hold on.
You 100% did. The synopsis is carrying on from the end of the previous season. The gang continue to enjoy the swimming pool. That is the episode 0 synopsis. Oh. This is why you were so confused.
Hold on a second. The fairies in the first...
Yeah.
I skipped the first episode. I watched an OVA thinking it was the first episode.
This is why you were so confused and thought that like you'd missed something.
I just booted up episode 1 and it introduced, like, I just clicked in and it's introducing the fairy that I wrote down a note saying they just didn't introduce.
Yeah. Oh my god, bro. This is so funny. Okay, so for context, Wob sent me, he was 3 episodes in and he sent me like a message. And he was like, did I like, am I watching the right thing? He was like, because he was like, it just feels like it just starts out of nowhere, and like
they're talking to characters I've never seen. They didn't introduce them. They just showed up.
Yeah, it's oh man, and then like I asked you when, like, why did you feel like this was like just like they introduced all these characters?
You didn't ask me that until I was in episode 3.
Well, I know,
which means I watched episodes 0, 2, 3, and then went back and talked to you.
You were in 5 when I asked you that question, because I was on episode 3. Because I was like, this all makes sense. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Would you like to talk about episode 1? Because apparently I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So, God, you missed the entire premise for this season.
Yeah, I watched one of the OVAs.
Are you even going to be able to give this a proper score? Because this sets up almost everything that happens in the season.
I don't know.
Okay.
So, do I just... I have... The episode that I wrote the most notes on was episode 1, which is apparently an OVA.
You probably would have written more notes if you knew what the fuck was going on, bro. Oh my god, I can't believe you did this. Okay.
Yeah, because I have episode 1 open on the other monitor right now, and I have not seen any of this.
Oh my god. Okay, so basically, what happens in episode 1?
Oh, and that's where that comes from.
Ayumu, he goes to the nurse's office, because I think they changed seats or something in the classroom, so he's now sitting right beside a window, which, as we know, sunlight hurts zombies. You know, because that's just how zombies work, right? So he was really shriveled up, and so they took him to the nurse's office. He was resting in there, and he sees this, like, weird girl, like, rummaging through the cabinets or whatever. Like, goes up to her.
That's the person I was complaining they never introduced.
Yeah, that's Chris, the fairy. Yeah. And, so, he has, like, a good conversation with her. She's drunk, and she offers him alcohol, and he's like, no, I'm underage, I can't drink. And then he gets drunk on water, and it's a great time. I think that's episode. I'm pretty sure that's that episode.
It was definitely this episode, because I paused it on a screenshot. I'm just skipping around the time slot to, like, as you follow along. And I stopped on one earlier where it showed him holding a mug, and it just pointed to it and said water.
Yep, that's definitely it. Yep. Yeah, so then there's this, like, rumor going around school that there's, like, a chainsaw wielding crossdresser, and they're like, huh, this looks like Ayumu. And then the one girl with the it's not pigtails, but it's like the dual ponytails that come in front. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I know which character you're talking about, actually.
Yeah.
Is that Hiramatsu?
Maybe. Let me look at the character list and see. I don't remember her. Yeah, Hiramatsu.
She's
Hiramatsu.
Great.
Oh, she is great. Yeah. But basically, she's just kind of like, no, that can't be Ayumu. Ayumu would never do this. And
this
he's
is
like,
where the squid comes from.
Yeah, you missed so much.
I saw the squid in a flashback and was like, when did that happen?
Yeah, it happened in the first episode. Oh my god. But basically, she's like, Ayumu would never do this. And he's like, I'm so sorry, Hiramatsu. I did do this. This is me. And like that goes on for a little bit. And then eventually, the squid starts attacking. Haruna comes in. She's like, oh, my magic has returned. And she transforms. And then Ayumu's like, Haruna, you're back. And she has nothing covering her back. And her backside. Like, the magical girl dress only covered the front. So she didn't have all her power back. So she made him transform again. In the middle of the school. With everybody else around him looking at him. Which confirms the suspicion. and then he beats the squid, and then Mistletoe, the chainsaw, breaks. So Ayumu can't erase anybody's memories.
I didn't know why the chainsaw was broken either.
Yeah. I can't believe that you didn't watch episode 1. You're going to have to go back and watch that episode.
Oh, no.
Because that literally sets up everything.
Like, a third of my complaints are invalid now.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep.
Jeez, why didn't you watch the OVA? We could have talked about it.
I don't know. I wanted to talk about the show proper. I don't know.
Because you also messaged me a few hours ago asking if I'd seen any of the OVAs, and I was like, nope, it didn't. Not any of them.
Yeah. Oh my god. I can't believe that you watched the OVA instead of episode 1. How did you even skip over episode 1?
I don't know. They don't autoplay. I have to open them direct. Wait. No, I know what happened because I watched the OVA thinking it was episode 1 after work on Sunday and then didn't watch any more until yesterday night. Which means
so you're telling me that you marked episode 1 as watched, and then you just were like, oh, episode 1's watched. Time to go to episode 2.
Well, yeah, because I had closed everything out entirely. It was an entire day later that I went back and was like, oh, I watched an episode yesterday, which means I'm on episode 2 now, and clicked episode 2.
God, this whole entire Korewa Zombie Desu is just cursed. Everything about both of these episodes. I don't understand.
Please do continue summarizing episode 1 for me, because apparently I need it.
Well, that's it. That's the main thing. Then once Mistletoe breaks, or everybody's live streaming the fight.
And that's where the pictures of his butt came from.
Well, they're saying Ayumu is this guy. He becomes famous for it. And then Mistletoe breaks, and then obviously when Mistletoe breaks, he can't wear his magical girl garb anymore. But it doesn't just turn into regular clothes again. He just loses all his clothes, so he's standing in the crowd of every student at the school naked, and they all have their phones out live streaming and taking pictures.
Yeah, because
that's why Sarasvati is obsessed with his butt.
He mentions that in later episodes about how he accidentally, quote, flashed the entire school, and I'm like, when did that happen? Did that happen sometime in season 1? Did that happen off camera? What's going on here? Holy crap, dude.
This is mind-blowing to me right now. I can't even process what's happened.
I have always been aware that I am prone to a certain degree of dumbassery, but I think this takes the cake.
Oh man, it's when you messaged me, that's why I was trying to figure out why everything felt wrong to you and didn't make sense, because everything made sense. It all followed the right.
Because I missed the entire fucking foundation. I watched an OVA thinking it was episode 1.
Oh my god! The only thing that's not in episode 1, as far as I remember, is the cat that they got. I don't remember when they got the cat.
I don't.
But Anderson was in season 1. Which that's not his real name.
I did not remember Anderson from episode 1. I stand by that. Or sorry, from season 1. I stand by that. Because when I don't either.
He's not a very big, prominent character.
Because when I messaged you that Anderson was in episode 1, he was in the OVA. That explains why you were so confused when I said Anderson was at the pool.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no idea what you were talking about, because he also didn't appear in episode 1, as far as I remember. I was so confused. You didn't say he was at the pool, either. You just said he's in episode 1.
Yeah, and I was also complaining that the fairy had never been introduced, that she just shows up, because in episode 2, he goes and talks to her and is talking to her like he's known her all this time, and apparently they met the prior episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still going to rate the show at the end, but
You're going to watch episode 1 after we're done recording.
I mean, not after we're done recording. It'll be tomorrow at least, because I promised to do something else.
You're going to watch it before we record next week.
Well, obviously. There might be an updated score, although even just knowing episode 1 exists changes my score by default, because I was, let's just say that knowing all of this actually had setup may or may not be upping the score by like 2 or 3 points right now.
Oh my god. Yeah, you were like, this is... because I remember when I said something about like, oh, we'll have some stuff to talk about. You're like, oh, don't tell me you like this. You think this season's like, oh, it's so much better, like holier than the first season, and like all this other like big boy words that you were using. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah, because my biggest complaint was that it felt unfocused because they didn't introduce anything. Never mind, it turns out I just didn't watch the introductory elements.
Yeah, it's hard for them to introduce something when you don't watch the introductions.
Hey,
my god.
But I watched an OVA. I did watch 10 episodes.
I mean, yeah, you did. Oh my god, bro. Okay, well, you're in charge of episode 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Episode 2. I suppose there's no point talking about the OVA.
No, there's not. I didn't see any of it.
I don't want you to tell me I'm in charge of episode 2, because since I had none of the context from episode 1, the only note I wrote on episode 2, the only thing I wrote was bees. Because I had no clue what anything was.
Are you going to be able to, like, say anything about this?
Yes, because later on things started happening, but in the first, like, 3 episodes, I was so confused because I had no context for anything, and I thought it was the show's fault.
You didn't watch the first one?
Because I thought it was the show's fault. And that's why I messaged you and said I have such strong opinions this early on. It was because I thought they just didn't set up anything.
God, your opinion was actually factually wrong in this case. Do you know how like rare that is for an opinion to be objectively wrong?
Can I just I'm gonna spill a little bit of our DMs here. You know how I messaged you about 3 hours ago and said that my biggest fear doing this podcast is that I'm going to accidentally watch the wrong show?
Uh-huh.
Apparently that's a valid concern.
I don't... Oh, man, bro, what?
Maelstrom invites Ayumu hiking. He brings the whole gang along, but then they run afoul of bees and a bear because Haruna's stupid. But then there's stars and it's cool and it works out. The only thing I wrote down was bees.
Yeah, I mean, that's about it. It was also like Ayumu wanted to escape from like this newfound popularity that he'd gained. That's like because where at first he was like, oh, this is going to be bad, I'm going to be a laughingstock. But then like fashion magazines started to be like, oh no, this is a cool style. And so like that the magical girl outfit was in fashion magazines, became popular.
Yeah, because you and Haruna were like rapid fire posting it. We later found out the Sarasvati also was.
Yeah. And so like then we were like, oh, everybody loves him. Everybody wants his autograph, and he just wants like a regular life. He wants his old life back. But because what's his name, Yggdrasil or something, I don't remember, what's the Mistaltine, yeah, Mistaltine was broken, he couldn't erase her memories, so that's why Yuki invited him out to go see the stars. It's like her favorite place, and like it'll maybe help him reinvent himself, kind of.
Yeah, I also had no clue why he was suddenly famous. Like, I did not know where that came from.
Yeah. So like that was, and then at the end of the episode, I think it was, he was back at school doing autographs, and he was like, "Oh, goodbye to my new self," or something.
Which he does that like 2 or 3 times. It's supposed to be a running joke. I didn't think it was that great.
No, but Hiromatsu comes up. It's like, do you want to go to the doctor's or like the nurse's office? because Hiromatsu, I feel like Hiromatsu, like, low-key has a crush on him.
It's not even low-key. That just is. Like, we
it's
find out
weird,
more about
though.
that during the cultural episode. It's clear she wants to... Your PlayStation's trying to turn off, bud.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's gonna, like, mess up. Okay, well, this is as good a time as any to take a midpoint break. We'll get ourselves...
That's a little early, but yeah, that tracks.
We'll get ourselves refocused. Let's get ourselves refocused.
Do I need to watch
here.
episode 1 in the mid-break?
Maybe. All right. We'll see you guys here in a minute.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to our second half of A Shot of Weeb episode. Insert number here where we talk about Kore wa Zombie Desu of the Dead. I am already like freaking 17 sheets to the wind. I haven't, because I did the Angry Orchard. I mentioned I did Angry Orchard for last week's recording, just for the Lost episode. I mean, it's been 2 weeks since I've gone ham on vodka, so it's catching up to me.
Yep. It caught up to you before you even started, since you just completely skipped it.
Okay, buddy. That's uncalled for. And
oh, man.
You know what? We're going to continue with the tradition, even though I probably don't need it. Drink responsibly, by the way. We didn't say that this episode.
Yeah, please drink responsibly.
Don't be stupid like we are. No, we're
drinking responsibly.
We're being responsibly. I know how far I can go. This is going to be my last one.
Oh yeah,
I can handle this many because
it.
I am a fat man. So
I got this one, and I'm gonna finish off my Arnold Palmer, but it's only like 5%, so it's not really anything.
This is my last shot of vodka, and then it's just soda for the rest of the night. Soda and water.
All right. Well, kanpai.
Yeah. Go back.
Oh man. That burned. I don't know.
I know we already said this at the beginning, but it gets worse every time, I swear. Ugh.
That's weird, because that normally is like one of the easier ones for me to take, but that one, it was weird. All right, well.
I think I need to start mixing it more often. Instead of doing like Svedka Chaser Sprite, I should just mix the Svedka and Sprite.
Probably, yeah.
I need to stop name dropping it. I'll name drop it all you want if you pay us.
It's true. Okay, so I talked about the first 2 episodes of the show, mainly because you didn't have any context for what was happening. So it's your turn, buddy.
Yeah. After this point, I had been able to pick up enough to have a basic idea of what's going on, or at the very least to accept, okay, this is apparently a thing that happened, and I just assumed it happened like between seasons or something.
Yeah.
I don't have too much to say about episode 3, and frankly I've forgotten a bunch of the story here. I made a comment that they have a cat, because apparently there's a cat and it's adorable. Yeah. I think it's the kitten from the first episode of season 1. It looks like it.
Oh, it very well could be.
And it was so cute. It was such a cute animated cat, but it had like the same... It just had like the same 3 like stock sounds played after each other. They didn't go out. It
reminded me... The way it looked, it reminded me of like... I don't remember what its name was, but the cat from Nichijou. Yeah, you haven't seen that one, have you?
That's the one with the dog bite laser, right?
Yeah.
We talked about that last week.
Well, the scientist has like a cat. And
okay.
It reminded me a lot of the cat. I don't know. Just a little. I don't remember which came first, the zombie or the Nichijou, but one of them did come first. And I'm not looking it up because my keyboard's too loud.
Second season of this is 2012. I think the first season was 2011.
So first season
came out right after each other. Yeah. Yes, this is 2011, 2012. I don't know when
I think Nichijou came out after. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything, though, and I'm not looking it up. So
that's fair.
That. Yeah, well, in this episode, this is the one where like she tries to fix Mistletoe.
They try to fix the chainsaw, and Yoshida and Haruna, I missed the reasoning for this, start being backup dancers for Sarasvati.
So Yuki had to do this for like clan reasons. Mm-hmm. And then Haruna was like, "Oh, that looks cool. I'll do it too."
And it turns out they're doing like this voodoo dance that just like makes everyone pass out.
Yep. and like, and then this had a really good moment because then Ayumu comes in and he's like, no, this is how you dance, and he starts rapping and he starts like, I don't even know what the dance is called. I mean, I'm white, so it makes sense, but like,
it was really good though. It was a slick sequence. He comes in, he starts breaking it down. I'm like, yeah, dude, go get it, man.
yeah, like the rapping it's nowhere near the level of like a Devilman Crybaby or like Hypnosis Mike rap. Okay, let's get that clear right now. But like it was funny. It was funny. It was fun, which is all it needed to be. So I'll give some points. It wasn't like, because it was like on the border of cringe, but it didn't ever cross into cringe, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I am very susceptible to cringe. I cannot handle cringe. It physically pains me, and this didn't quite get that far.
Yeah.
It did
I can
later.
handle my cringe, so.
There was a later episode where the cringe kicked in hard, and I couldn't take it.
Oh boy.
But no, I liked as the sequence went on, because like even then they start like legitimately rehearsing for the sequence, and Ayumu goes like full. It's not pop star, but the person who like helps the pop stars practice or whatever. And he's trainer. Like, yeah, and he's like coming in, he's clapping, he's doing the 1 2 1 2, keeping him on beat, and I'm just like, this is good. I'm looking at him help them out, and they're getting better, and it is good. This is good.
Yep. It was very good.
And then they go on stage, start doing the voodoo dance.
And then he's like, no, this is what you should be doing. And then he starts doing it, and he's like, oh no, it's controlling me. And then the crowd starts doing it, and everybody dies.
Yeah. The crowd passes out, Sarasvati passes out, and is like, I guess it's a good concert.
And then like Yu says something like congratulations on the dance or something like that.
Yeah, I don't.
It was great.
I don't recall quite what it was. It's something like that. Yeah, all she does is write stuff, but her written notes, when she wants to be sarcastic, they have so much bite to them.
It's great.
It's really good.
Oh man, it's so hard to get like a personality, I feel, out of just like small little notes, but like you get
they
her
really do it.
They really do that well. And it's great. Yeah, I love all those little notes. Yeah, I think that's the majority of that episode. That's like how it ends. Like everybody dances till they drop.
Most of these episodes. So I'm gonna say this is probably something I should save for the second half, but I'm gonna go ahead and get it out now. I have less complaints about the show being unfocused now that I know I kind of just skipped a bunch. But this does feel a lot more like a skit show than a lot of the others. The story threads aren't as strong as they were in season 1.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it feels like there's a first half, enter situation here. Second half, enter situation here. That's like the formula of this season.
I definitely got that same vibe, and I don't know, it was like better than some of the skit shows we've watched on here. But like also I think it needed that like core narrative and it didn't have that as strongly, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because there is a core narrative, but it's like a lot more.
Instead of happening every episode in like small pieces, they do like big chunks here and there.
Every couple of episodes, yeah.
Yeah. And so it is definitely more like it is a very like, I don't want to say disjointed, episodic season is the way I'd put it. Because things are happening every episode, like something will happen and it will conclude. So
yeah. Episode 4, I don't know if you really want to talk about the first half of it. It's the one where they're building the Gundam models.
I thought that was sick. Because personally, I build Gunpla and stuff like that.
So does my dad.
It's great. It's so much fun, dude.
My dad, who has seen one anime ever.
Hey man, look, I started building Gunpla before I saw a single Gundam. So
I mean, that's fair, and I will admit, model building is fun. I used to make model cars.
Yeah, exactly. I need to go back to my tall geese, but I thought it was really cool, especially that they were using an actual like mech from Full Metal Panic.
Like, that's like, actually a show? I assume that's something
a
they
show
made up for this.
Yep. No, that's a show. It's got quite a few seasons.
Okay.
And that is the mech, because it's known for having the knife in the mouth of the mech, and it's sick. It's so cool.
Okay, that's good to know. I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, no. So it's like I don't know how they did that. I don't know if like it's the same studio or something, or like they just got it's like the same publisher for like the light novels or something, or manga or whatever this is based on. But it was cool that they were able to use like an actual, instead of like coming up with something different. And like, oh man, I know how fragile these things are. So when Haruna broke it, I felt so bad.
Dude,
and, like,
that hits you in the soul when that happens.
It does. And then oh man, when he's explaining to his friend like the scene he set up, and his friend's like, all right, well that's what you're cool with, and he's like, no, I'm not cool with this. It was great. Oh man, it's so much. I felt him. I felt him like on a deep personal level.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't have as much to say on this first half. It didn't really speak out to me. The second half, however, was the first episode, or the first segment, I suppose I should say, that I watched, and I was skeptical. I'm like, wow, this is not going to go well. And then it kept going. I'm like, okay, this is really good. They start off, Orito, who is his best friend from the first season.
Yes.
And is also, he like tries to be the ladies' man. Orito is not good at it.
No. He thinks he is, though.
He thinks he's the champ.
Yeah, he thinks he's like Hugh Hefner out here. But he is not.
But he's like, I forget the reasoning, but he's like, okay, Ayumu, we need to do this thing because we need to. I don't remember what it was. He brings them.
I'll tell you why.
Okay,
because
why was
you
it?
didn't watch the first episode. He's trying to help him get out of his like cross-dressing thing, because Ayumu doesn't want to be known for that.
Right.
So he's like, well, here, I'll help you get over this.
If you see girls in costume, you won't want to be in costume.
Yep. Which is like, that reasoning, I'm like, is that...
That would just encourage it?
I don't know, like, I mean, okay, but yeah, so...
I feel like that just give a man ideas, if that's the kind of thing they're into.
Especially when he lives with 3 other girls.
Who knows?
You know?
But either way, they go to basically a maid cafe.
Yeah,
and
that's what it looks like when they first walk in the door, you know? They're like, welcome home, master, and stuff.
But
and
it's like a maid cafe where they're awful to you, and they're just
Well, there's 2 halves to this cafe. The front, when you walk in, they're like nice maids.
Right.
And then that's because Orito's like, no. We want the
We're going for the special course.
And they're like, oh, okay, this way, please. And that's when they're in the room where everybody just like talks shit to them. They're like, go home, master. Get out of here. Like, hurry up. Stuff like that.
And it is completely on brand, because guess who is leading this half of the cafe?
Oh, yep. It is, it was Seraphim, I believe?
No, Sarasvati. Not Sarah. It was
Sarasvati.
the other one.
Sarasvati, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sarasvati. And, and she's leading it, and then at this point she has the big crush on Ayumu because of his
because
of his little tight butt.
By his ass.
Yeah, she has hip love.
It's so bad. Oh, is that what your subtitle said? Because mine just said butt love.
Oh no, mine said hip love.
That's
but she
that's
talked
a lot more
about
pleasant.
his butt a lot. Too,
oh, she does.
Yeah,
she does.
And he grabs his ass every time that she's near, so to protect it. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, he does, because he's scared of her.
Yep. Well, because she says stuff like, that ass will be mine, and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, she knows what she's about.
Yep. And so then, so they sit down at their table, and then Seraphim comes over, and she's like a waitress there, and they're like, what are you doing here? And she's like, well, this is like a Vampire Ninja cafe thing. So like it's how we get money, and I had to be part of it. She's her usual self. It works with her, and then
because she's like trying to be the serious aggressive at times, and she fails. It doesn't work.
Yeah. And then they get a second server or something, but Yuki comes over in a cowboy outfit.
Sorry, I misspoke. Yuki's the one who keeps not getting it to work. Yeah. Sarah does fine.
Sarah does fine.
I lost track of where in the conversation we were.
Yeah.
I accidentally listened to 1 minute in the future.
Yeah, no, it's Yuki who because she likes Ayumu. Ayumu, sorry. Oh man, bad with names. She likes Ayumu and she wants to be a good wife to him. So she can't be like rude to him. But
Whereas
she's
Sarah's just doing the same thing she always does.
Yeah. But like, why is she wearing a cowboy outfit?
You know what? Maybe she just wants to.
I mean, that's what she said. She said it's easier to move around in. And I was like, okay, that's fair. But also, why are you wearing a cowboy outfit in a maid cafe? Why are they allowing this?
I wonder if Sarah just doesn't really care about that.
Yeah, she probably doesn't. Well, especially because later on we see there's the bondage outfit.
Yeah, let's wait to get into that. Outfit. Let's wait to get into that.
We're almost there, buddy. We're like right there.
Okay, well, you know what? Let me do the setup for it then. Basically, Ayumu's like, okay, this was awkward. Let's go home. And Oritu's like, wait. We can get all of the stuff we just had, because Ayumu's like, wow, this is really good food. I'm glad we had a bunch of it. And Oritu's like, yeah, but we can get it all for free if we take the challenge.
Yep.
And the challenge is if you can make some number. I don't think they specified the number.
5.
It ends up being 5 of them.
It is 5.
Was it 5 from the start?
Yeah.
They were like, if you can make 5 of the servers fall for you, and the specifics of what fall for you means is intentionally vague, like because they riff off that later.
Yep.
If you can make all 5 of them fall for you, you get your food for free. And Orito and Ayumu are kind of a team here.
But if you can't, if you lose, then you have to pay 100,000 yen.
Oh, I didn't catch the second stakes of it.
Yeah, that's what Orito's like. It's high risk, high reward, which is like loosely converted is about $1,000.
It's like approximately 1,000, yeah.
Which is a lot of money.
And so
a lot of money.
Sarasvati is like, okay, y'all are going to take the challenge. She doesn't say y'all. She's not the kind of person to say y'all. I'm the kind of person to say y'all.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to. I'm going to get off track. Okay. She's like, okay, you're going to take the challenge. Be ready for a fight. And she like stands up and like it fades out the background. It goes full stylistic for a moment. And they're in like this dark area. And she has 4 numbered hooded figures behind her.
Yep.
So it's like these 4 mysterious people plus her. Ooh, my computer's chugging. Okay, we're good.
All right.
And they're like, okay, we'll start you off easy. I don't think they say that, but that's basically what it is. I take off the first of the cloaks, and it's Yuki.
Yep. And Yuki sits down. She's got on the maid outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically like all Ayuna, or what is his name?
Ayumu.
All Ayumu has to do is basically just like sweet talk her, or just talk to her normally. Like, actually,
it's just like, "Hey, are you okay, bud? You win."
Yeah. He was like, "Do you like wearing those clothes?" And she's like, "Not really." And he's like, "Well, just go back to wearing what you were before." She's like, "Okay." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, you."
And
won.
they ring the bell. They have a bell that they ring whenever you win. So that's like the key.
Yes. And then it goes to the second girl.
Because Saris is like, oh, this was easy mode. Let's crank it up.
Yep. And the second girl is Haruna, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and they're all just like, Haruna, why are you here? Why is everyone here? What are you doing?
Yeah. Yep. And then she's like, well, I just wanted a part-time job. Thought it'd be fun. I think that was her reason.
And Haruna's playing hardball here. She's doing really good. Like, she's like being tough about it. And is like, you won't convince me. But Ayumu knows his way around. He asks Yuki for some water. Accidentally grabs her hand. Haruna gets jealous, takes the water. Ayumu wins.
Yep. That's how that happens. And then we get to number 3.
It turns out to be Sarah.
Yeah. Sarah does her usual thing. And
she completely shuts Orito down, which is great. I'm pretty sure she kicks him into the ceiling.
And she's wearing dominatrix gear.
Yeah, Orito is like all over it.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's why he got kicked, is he was like, oh, that costume's great. Let me feel it. Puts his hand on her. And
No. He was rubbing his face on her thigh.
Oh, yeah, no, it's so much worse than I thought.
Yeah.
And she just yeets him into the ceiling, and he is stuck in the ceiling for,
Dead.
the next amount of time.
Assumably dead. Like...
No, I think we see him moving.
His body is loosely... his body is swinging from the force of being kicked.
Yeah, because unlike Ayumu, he can't just survive that kind of thing. Because, Ayumu's undead. That was one of the things they riffed on a lot in the first season, was that he just survives things.
Well, they do that a lot in this season, too. Because,
nowhere near as much.
No,
that was actually...
No, they will kill him just... Instead of, like, when they get upset, they'll just kind of kill him. Because, there's one point when he was playing with the... or when he was building his plamo... His model kit, Seraphim came in and just threw a shuriken at his head and killed him immediately. And they clamp his head together and just blood will spray everywhere. They do it quite a bit, just differently.
This is a mild detour, but this was actually one of my complaints, is I felt like they didn't riff on his zombiness enough, because although those things are theoretically, they'd be lethal, he survives them because he's a zombie. Those are also the same things you'll see as an exaggerated gag in, a normal anime.
Yeah, but I don't think they...
I feel like...
The zombiness doesn't really... I don't know.
It doesn't come into play as much as it did in the first season, in my opinion.
It does, because he gets shriveled up by the sun way more.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. His sun weakness is played for laughs more often, but his survivability... doesn't legitimately get used as often, because again, you mentioned the throw a shuriken into his forehead. I've seen that in just standard anime with normal mortal people, so I don't think that plays off it.
But also, they don't do that in this anime to normal people. She doesn't just throw.
We did just talk about him chucking Orito into a ceiling.
Yeah. But if you think about it, ceilings aren't solid. Especially not in restaurants and stuff. It's generally a thin. You can crash through a drywall. It'll hurt, but you'll survive. They never outside of that one instance though. There's never really any life-threatening situations any of the human characters get put in.
I see your criticism. I still stand by my point. I feel like they didn't play off it as well as they did in the first season. Because in the first season, again, there's a lot of times they'll stab him with a sword when he's in a major conflict. And it works. And he's just kind of dude, bruh, that's my shirt. But
I don't think it was... There wasn't any major conflicts in this season.
And I think that's also a bit of a problem that ties into the story that's missing.
Yeah,
I feel fair. A lot of the best humor, in my opinion, maybe not the best humor, but a lot of the quality humor was based off of him surviving absolutely ridiculous things. Especially, we talked about, there's one sequence in the first season where he puts a bomb hat on and then blows up. And they put him back together and he's fine.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That was one of my complaints, is that I felt like the zombie aspect of it didn't come into play as much as I would have liked. I could have believed most of this without the zombie part.
Okay, well, I'm going to counter your point again here with the next bit from this scene when he asks Sarah to cook for him and she serves him nitroglycerin steak.
Okay, I didn't say they don't use it at all. There are still some bits where they riff on it, and that one was a good one.
I just think they do it in different ways that maybe you didn't like as much, which is completely fine.
That's possible.
But I don't think it's not... I think they do it the same amount. Right. It's just, this season is much more comedy-focused than Season 1, which had much more of a solid narrative running through it. Just different things, different strokes for different folks.
That's fair. I don't feel like it got riffed on as well as it did before, which I think was one of the better humor aspects, and I'm a little disappointed it didn't come through as well, in my opinion.
Okay, that's fair.
But to get back on track here, like you said, the way to get Sarah on his side was he was like, "Can you cook for me?" To which Sarasvati is like, "No, she is not going near our kitchen."
Yeah, She's not permitted to use our kitchen. And
because that was something introduced in season 1, is she makes like deadly, corrosive death for food. Yeah. Like, it has melted several of Ayumu's pots and pans at home.
It melts everything it touches. I mean, this steak is like exploding on the plate.
Yeah, because she literally says that. She's like, the secret ingredient for flavor is nitroglycerin.
Like, just flat out. And he just eats it. He tries to cut it, but the knife dissolves.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just puts the whole thing in his mouth. Dies immediately. And he's like, that was good. Can you make me another? She blushes, and the bell rings.
Mm-hmm. That was good. That was good, because there's no other way you're going to win her over.
Yep. And then we get to number 2. And at number 2, I was like, no, this is number 2, because it went up from 5 up to 1.
I don't think that's correct.
Yes,
but okay.
It did. It 100% did, because number 1 is the hardest. It goes from, like, I know for a fact this is true. I know for a fact, and I'll prove it after this, after we talk about this one. But anyways, number 2 comes out. And I was like, man, number 2. I wonder, it's got to be you. And of course it was you.
Yeah, because that's the only main cast left.
Yep. And then, and so then you're, so immediately Ayumu is already like seeing his little sister image of her in his head. And, whatever the blonde guy's name is like, oh, he's already lost.
They don't, like, count it because the guy that I thought was American is there. He's like one of the judges. He's announcing, he's like narrating this as it goes on.
Yep.
Which was good. I like that he just kind of appeared out of nowhere.
He sits down with her and basically she just gives up.
Yeah, she's just like, wow, you're really bashful today. And the bell rings.
Yep. Yeah, and so then he's like, all right, Sarasvati, let's go. And she's like, oh no.
Whoever said me, bud.
Nothing about me. And then the number 1 cloaked hood comes out from the shadow realm, out of this like doorway, and pulls off the cloak, and it turns out it's Mihara.
Kanami Mihara. So we should detour for a quick second to like give the context on this character. She's been around since season 1. Basically, there's a couple of the girls from the high school, because there's the one you already mentioned that I said was really great, Hiramatsu, who like clearly has a crush on him. Yep. Kanami is one of her friends. In season 1, there was a bit where Haruna is trying to win him over. I think both Haruna and Yuki talk to these same 2 girls about it.
Yuki does for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Yuki's like, hey, how do I get him to like me? Or how do I like him?
Basically, Kanami is just like, no, why would anyone like this goblin of a man?
Yep.
She has a reputation for being, quote, the coldest girl at the school.
Yep.
That's who their final challenge is. And she sits down, and it's clear that she wants nothing to do with them at all.
Yeah. And then
Ayumu is sweating bullets.
Yeah. And then from out of the ceiling pops Orito. He's saving the day, and he just pops out. He's like, don't worry, I got this. I'll be your opponent. And then he just gives a love confession just out of nowhere.
Ayumu roasts him for it and is like, dude, if you were going to be useless, just stay in the ceiling.
And then the bell rings. I didn't know. Yep, the bell rings because she blushed. And then she was like, no, that was on accident. And then the blonde guy is just kind of like, oh, so you're saying that you accidentally let your true self show. And then she just kind of like admits defeat and like leaves.
It's so good. She doesn't have many lines, but I really enjoy her character because she has another just like random side bit later that I really enjoyed, because Ayumu ends up, this is an episode that I'm probably going to blaze over unless you want to talk about it, but Ayumu ends up cross-dressing again later for a different reason entirely. Yeah. And Kanami is just there completely losing her shit about it, and there's a funny sequence.
Yeah.
It's really good. She has great. Like almost no role. Like I said, season 2 expanded on a lot of the secondary characters. She's still got kind of left behind, and I still really like her.
Yeah, but like she got enough, like, because she was never going to be like a part of the harem.
Oh, obviously.
So like, yeah, I mean, I think the one that got like, honestly, the character that got like the worst treatment this season was easily Hiramatsu.
I mean, she had more prominence she had about the same prominence as Kanami, because she had the whole sequence during the Culture Festival. She got some one-on-one time with Ayumu.
I guess, yeah, that's true. But I still feel like she did worse than Mihara, because like Mihara was never like gunning for it, but she was, and she just nothing happened there. Yeah. Which like sucks for her, because I liked her a lot.
F in chat. She was sweet. She shows up in both of the EDs, the ED of the first season and the second season.
Yeah. Yep.
Because at the end of the first ED, the first season ED, there's a line that's like, "Now I understand, Mr. Zombie," or whatever, and it's like sung by her. It's like the last shot of it. And then in the second season ED, it's like all of the characters, like it's showing their reactions right before they kiss, presumably Ayumu, and she's part of that.
Yeah. That's a good detail. I didn't notice that. I didn't pick up on all that.
I don't think the OP and ED of this season were near as good as the first season ones, in my opinion.
Ooh,
I preferred the first season ones.
The second season OP is leagues better in terms of visuals and song choice. So
I disagree,
good.
but it's an opinion matter, so that's chill.
Yeah, my opinion's correct. Okay, so,
bud, you don't got to be that way. We are understanding of other people's positions on this show.
I don't know if I can give you the full credit though, because did the OVA have the OP for season 2?
So actually, the OVA did have the first season OP, but then obviously the rest of the show had the second season one.
So you didn't get to see it as many times.
Okay, so I missed out on one play of the OP. That makes so much difference.
Who knows? It could. It very well could. Out of here
with that nonsense.
Not nonsense, it's facts. Okay.
5 has the cringe in it. Episode 5 is when I started cringing.
What was the cringe here?
So Yu comes down sick, and they're like, okay, it's an underworld disease, so only underworld people can catch it. At this point, it's been revealed that Andre, American man, the blonde guy that I thought was American. Anderson, yeah.
I think his real name is Shinomura, I believe.
Shimomura, yeah. But he gets called Anderson because this is the reason I thought he was American was because they call him an American name as a nickname because he looks and sounds American.
He doesn't even sound American. They're just like, oh, you have blonde hair. We're going to give you an American nickname.
He has blonde hair, and he says a lot more English phrases than any of the other characters does. Like, he sprinkles English into his sentences. So yeah. I legitimately thought he was supposed to be an American character.
I didn't get that
I thought he was like a transfer student or something.
No, I didn't see that at all. I mean, honestly, like when I looked at him, he looked more Japanese than some of the other cast. He just happened to have blonde hair. I didn't know why they were calling him Anderson until I looked at the character bio, which is where I learned that it's just like a nickname thing.
But he's the reason it got cringy, because Ayumu, it turns out Anderson is from the underworld, so he's like, yo, Anderson, why is she sick? What can I do to get better? And he's like, are you ready to follow instructions without questioning? And he's like, yes, if it saves you.
You thought this was cringy? This shit was so funny, bro. This was hilarious.
It is cringe humor. I can't do cringe humor. This is what... Hot take. This is why I hated the early seasons of The Office. I can't do cringe humor.
Oh, no. Cringe humor is so funny. Oh, man. This part was so good.
It's not something I can jive with. I'm sorry, man.
Oh, man. Can't believe it. Can't believe it, bro.
Basically, Anderson starts guiding him through like a whole bunch of ridiculous things that he needs to do to rescue you. And Harun is just like, why are you an idiot? Because it ends with him in like nothing but his skivvies. And Harun is like, bruh, you stupid, and kicks him into the wall. And then Anderson's just like, ha 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 ha, you stupid.
Yeah. He just pulled a fast one on him because he's like, oh, I know he'll do anything I tell him to.
Oh, I pulled a sneaky on you.
Yep. It was good. It was very good.
It was good in concept, but I hated watching the sequence.
Yeah, so that's basically all that episode.
Yeah, and it turns out it's because oranges are poisonous or something weird like that.
I don't know what it was exactly.
It was like that, though. it was like tangerines or something. There's like a bit that like you're supposed to take off that it's like super poisonous to Underworld, and
and
you had eaten like 30 of them.
Well, she had said like the white part is my enemy.
Yeah, but you're not going to get all of it off.
Right. But she was doing her best, and so then she didn't get all of it though. And
it messes her up for a while. And okay, I will admit this has a really cute sequence because like after they put her to bed, after Anderson is like, no, I'm just messing with you, she just needs sleep or whatever. She like comes over to Ayuma's room and is like, can I stay with you tonight? And they curl up in bed together. And then Haruna like kicks the door open. She's gone and harvest like fresh mandrake or something. And Ayumu knows she's going to freak out if she sees you there. So he, like, covers you with the blanket and is just talking to her. Yep. And Haruna's just, like, going on, like, where's she gone? She's gone missing. I got all these things for her. And he manages to talk her down and is like, I'll bring these things to you. Goes to hand them and accidentally knocks the blanket off of you. And Haruna looks at you. And Ayumu instinctively, like, panics and covers himself. Like, Haruna's going to flip. And she's just like... Oh, yeah, that tracks.
Yep. Yeah. Because she knows it's definitely more of like a brother-sister relationship that you and Ayumu have.
I don't know. We've seen his mental takes on it.
Yeah, but like, it never feels like really anything.
That reminds me. Did you watch the after credit scenes?
Some of them, yeah.
Basically, so we already mentioned that Yu is voiced by a bunch of people in Ayumu's, like, dreams. The after-credit sequences of every episode are the alternate voice actors playing alternate versions of Yu getting together and hanging out after episode, and it's so good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was great. It was adorable. I didn't watch all of them, because it was also the, like, preview. I don't like watching previews.
They weren't previews at all. It was labeled preview, but it didn't tell you anything about the next episode.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. It wasn't like mandatory watching, and I got the gist with the few of them I watched.
I usually, because I wasn't super impressed with the CD, I usually skipped the ED to get to the segment with the alternate U's because I liked them.
I just generally went to the next episode, but that was cute. It was for sure.
And then Ayumu wakes up on the floor. Haruna has climbed into bed with you instead. Because it turns out we find out later that Haruna's come down sick, and so they're like both taking care of each other. It's really good. This whole sequence was wholesome. Haruna and you being adorable to each other.
Yeah. And so then next is the festival episode. I don't really remember much about this one.
I don't have much to say about the festival. Like, it was decent. It had some good riffs. We find out there's one good, like, sequence that I'd like to talk about. Basically, Haruna has made a magic device to steal Yu's power. Yu's power. So she can transform and Yu can speak, but Haruna can't speak.
Yeah.
So Yu's just talking like a normal human, which is very unusual. And so Ayuma doesn't need to fantasize, but then she calls him out on it and is like, aren't you going to have a fantasy about me? And he's like, oh, yeah, my bad. Let's hop into one.
Yeah.
So they do that, and it's a decent segment, and then Haruna kicks him in the shin and writes down on a paper, what about me?
Uh-huh. And then I think doesn't he have a segment for it? And then she's like, don't do that again.
Basically, because he has this whole sequence about her just, like, money grubbing, cutting down trees to sell for wood, stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was good. It was
very good.
Very good.
Otherwise, I don't have much to say about the Culture Festival. There's some plot stuff happens. This is when we find out what's up with Chris, the fairy.
Yeah.
I don't like that the bad guy was a girl named Chris. That's my dad's name.
That's a girl's name too, though.
I mean, it is, but still. I'm sitting here listening to the talk about this, and I'm like, no, I don't like it. Different name. Pick a different name.
Yeah, she was like the bad guy or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's because she turns into like a middle-aged man unless she's drunk. That's why the fairy was always drunk. It's because that's the only way she gains her original form. Turns out she's also like crazy powerful. Like mega powerful.
There's only like one person who would be able to be on par with her.
Who turns out to be one of my favorite characters, I'll be completely honest. I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
I knew you were going to like her.
She's great.
I knew. I mean, yeah, she is good, but like, I just knew.
Do you actually want to talk about any of the Culture Festival, or can we move on to what's after that?
No, we can move on. I didn't really have, I don't know. After this,
it's honestly, all story stuff.
It really is all story stuff, but there's only really one thing I care about, which is the final episode. I thought it was really cool, but we'll get to that, I guess, here in a few minutes.
Yeah, because I would like to talk about one half episode that happens in between there. Okay. Because plot reasons, they need to defeat Chris. To do that, they free one of the bad guys from the first season, and to comply with her like conditions, because she knows the way to defeat Chris. To comply with her conditions, Ayumu has to throw a mixer party, which I had heard of mixer parties because of anime. I did not know what they were until someone flat out explains it in this episode, so I really appreciate that.
Okay.
I'm not exactly a social person. I don't get exposed to these things.
I mean, I watched enough of the high school movies.
The only show...
School,
oh, you're going to judge me for this. The only reason I had even heard of the concept of a mixer party was because that's how Domestic Girlfriend starts.
Oh my god.
And so I knew, like, vaguely what it was, but I didn't know, like, the intention behind it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So they do the mixer thing at the... It's like a place run by the Masked Donalds, or the same company.
No. They plan it at the Masked Donalds, but it's being hosted at a Yumu's place. Or is it? I don't know.
No.
I don't know the
specifics. It was at a karaoke bar.
Wait, no, yeah, you're right, which is, I guess, attached to the Masked Donalds.
Yeah, because it's the same, like, buff masked luchadors.
Yeah, so let me get to that. This was one of my favorite gags. Everybody's showing up for it. Hardly anybody was interested. Ayumu is, like, super overhyping it because it's, like, actually important because plot reasons. And so, like, he shows up, the rest of the main cast shows up. The girl they freed shows up. And...
Yeah, who's the serial killer from season 1.
Yeah. Anderson arrives, as does Kanami and Hiramatsu, the two girls we talked about earlier.
Because the girls got in free, so they were like, okay, I guess we'll go.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, and Yuki was there because Saris gave her permission, but Saris did not want to join.
Yeah.
So it was just them. It was the main cast plus those three.
Yep.
And then one of the girls is like, there's not enough guys here. This isn't correct. They should be approximately equal. And he's like, crap, where are we going to get more dudes to equal it out? And the two Masked Donalds luchadors pop up and is like, we'll be your friend.
Yep. It's great.
It was so good. I didn't expect that, and I nearly died when that happened. And so... They sit around a table, they're doing, like, games and whatever, and it's just, like, the main cast, 3 side characters, and these 2 buff masked men that just were in the background of, like, 3 episodes. It's amazing.
Yep. Oh, it's fantastic. And, of course, you have Orito in between
and Orito is there.
Luchadors. Yeah, Orito is sitting in between the 2 luchadors,
just, like, crushed
by their
between
muscles.
them.
It's
It was perfect in every regard.
He's pissed because he's not sitting next to a girl.
It was perfect in every regard. And they play the King's Game, which I'm proud of myself. I knew what King's Game is because of Persona 4.
I knew that's exactly what you knew it from. I knew.
It's almost like my frame of reference is really small.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the first place that I'd heard the King's Game, but I will admit, I think that's the first place that I fully learned the rules and everything. It's not very complicated rules, but just nothing else I'd seen it like explained it.
Yeah.
And the anime King's Game is very different.
Yeah, basically like this number and this number should hug, and it turns out to be Ayumu and Hiramatsu, and it gets awkward until Haruna like forcefully pulls them apart because she's jelly. And then one of the masked men turns out to be the king and is like, this number and this number should kiss, and it turns out to be the main character and murder girl from season 1.
Yep. And she's into him.
Yeah. And then Dai Sensei, we've barely talked about Dai Sensei. Her name's Ariel. She's Haruna's like superior, and she's one of my favorite characters.
Of course she is.
She shows up because she's bored, basically. during this point.
Pretty much.
And so Kyoko, the murder girl who was like super excited, is now like super angry that she's here because that's the lady that kept her in prison since season 1.
Yep.
But it doesn't matter because Dai Sensei's great, and she has some really great one-liners. Like, Orito starts hitting on her and is like, wait, so you're legal? And she's like, yes. And he's like, oh, is this forbidden relationship? And she's like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It'll never happen.
Yeah. Yeah. She's got some good lines. She's
Dai
fun.
Sensei has my favorite lines in both of these seasons.
Is it the one you sent me?
That is one of my favorites. I'm not going to say it on here.
I'll say it.
Oh, God.
I'll say it. It's in the final episode. But
yeah, it is.
But
Close
basically,
to it.
she says, you saw my panties, so I'm gonna have to kill you.
Yeah, because reasons. There's like a fake Ayumu, and he's like,
We'll talk about it. I want to discuss that in detail.
Okay.
We'll talk about that
I
episode.
get it. We also skipped over Zoogle. He like looks up information on the internet using Zoogle, which is a good detail. I like that.
Oh, okay. I didn't even.
I mentioned this a little bit in the Lost episode, that one of my favorite things is when, to get around copyright or whatever, they use like a famous name with like one thing tweaked. So like McDonald's was one of my favorite things in the first season. Zoogle is really great. A dumb like low production show that I absolutely love called The Gamers. They drink like frickin' Mountain Thunder soda or something like that, and I'm like, this is good. And so when I saw Zoogle, I just lost it.
Yeah, no. So, that stuff's pretty good. Is there anything else you want to talk about with this mixer bit, or do you want to get into the final?
I think I'm good. I mostly just really wanted to riff off of the McDonald's dude showing up.
That was great. All right, so
that is probably my favorite
bit,
part of this of this season. Either that or the Maid Cafe. Both of those were amazing.
Okay. So I know you said you wanted to talk about 9 a little bit.
More that I want to talk about one of the characters.
Go for it. Go for it.
So to defeat Chris, basically, they decide that Kyoko's information is kind of useless. So they go to seek out the one person who was strong enough to defeat Chris. And it's what's her actual name? Naegleria Neburos. They just call her Nene.
Yeah.
They go to seek her out. It's in like this dumpy apartment. Sorry, Ayumu goes to seek her out in this dumpy apartment. And she's like this super sleepy, super messy manga artist.
Yeah.
And she is also one of my favorite characters in this season.
I knew she would be. As soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, Wob might have a new favorite character.
It's because she's great. She keeps like falling asleep mid-conversation. Her favorite go-to line is, "Did you get a haircut?" And she asks that to Ayumu on the first time they've met.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, like, she also asked that to you, and you's like, no. And then she's like, oh, yeah, you haven't changed a bit. Just like...
Because they knew each other in, like, the underworld. Nene was part of, like, her personal guard or whatever.
Yep.
I don't know. I really like Nene.
She's fun. She's fun for sure. I do enjoy her. Not my favorite character, but, like, she's good. She's good.
The third manga artist I've seen in an anime.
What are the other two?
There's a... is the correct term mangaka? Is that the name?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
There's
mangaka.
Obviously JoJo's, and then there's also one in Eunice Hot Springs that I've watched.
Gotcha. I can't remember your full list off the top of my head right now, so I can't say if you've seen more or not. So
there's no others off the top of my head, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Either way, it's not important. That was just a detail I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and so we get that whole sequence, and then for whatever reason, like Sarasvati.
No, Harun is the one that goes to get them.
No,
or are you meaning Sarasvati's the one who calls?
Sarasvati, was it Sarasvati? Is that I'm terrible.
Sarasvati is the pop star vampire.
Sarasvati like forces Ayumu into a promise to come to her concert,
Right.
And,
Yeah.
He is, and then he's like, okay, fine, yeah, sure, I'll come to your concert. And then he's also gets roped into this thing with
with Nene
to help with the manga to finish off, because Yu wants to see a happy ending to the story to like her life story that happened in the underworld or whatever.
Yeah, because Haruna sees them and thinks they're banging and goes and get the rest of the crew. So the whole main cast is here.
Yeah, because Nene is a not slutty but slobby, but she she also just doesn't care, so she'll just take a shower, and then she comes out of the shower with just a towel on, then falls asleep on top of him. It's,
yeah, and she also sasses the others, because when the gang shows up and Sarah's like, because they're all like sassing Ayumu and Nene's not there, but then Nene wakes up. She was just under a pile of manga pages and wakes up and starts talking to the group. And Sarah's like, I'm going to ask you directly, did you two do anything impure? And Nene just looks at her, thinks for a moment. Well, what if we did? And everyone just loses it.
Yep. Except for you, because you knows what's up. He's the only one who knows her. But yeah, so then they're doing that. So then he he makes it to the concert or whatever. It's all cool, whatever. But then we get to the last episode. This is, in my opinion, the best episode of the season. And
okay.
Because I absolutely love I don't know, it's cringe humor for sure. But the whole oh man, what's Chunibyo stuff?
What do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
Okay, so Chunibyo, it's also called middle schooler disease.
Okay.
And basically it's when you think you have superpowers and you'll pretend to have these abilities. So you have the demon right arm or something that you can't control. And so you'll dress all edgy and you'll play this character in real life.
Oh, okay. I know what you're getting at now.
That's Chunibyo or middle schooler disease or whatever. I love that kind of thing. And so when they so Ayumu got amnesia. Yeah,
because Dai Sensei was like, you need to pass a test or I'm going to wipe your memory, and he fails. I don't remember what the test was. It was something arbitrary.
Yeah, it was something arbitrary. And then they're like, well, can he get it back? And she's like, yeah, you can go into his subconscious and try to find it for him. So they go in there, all the main cast does, and then they meet him. And initially they meet him, and he's this really scratchy outline figure, and I thought it was really cool. I liked the animation bit. And then they meet him, which involves Bahamut and Lucifer and Satan and three other demons, and basically it's 6 of the 7 deadly sins. 6 of the 7 deadly sins, and they have to beat all of them, and then eventually they do, but then they get, I don't remember what his name was. He was like, you can just call me another or alternative.
Yeah.
And he's the demon of sloth. And
real quick, to beat them, Haruna transforms, which is a big thing because she's not been able to properly do this in a while. But she's like, we're in a spirit form, so it's okay. It's the same reason Yu is able to talk in this sequence, because they're in spirit form.
Yeah. Yu's able to talk and because they're not in the physical body. And so then eventually they make it. They think they've made it out because they're in his bedroom or whatever. They think they made it to his true self or whatever, and then he's like, oh, well, the true self, is scarier than it might look or something. And then he's able to take control of the body, the sloth version. And then he wakes up in the room where everybody's passed out except for Dai Sensei. Dai Sensei just sitting there sipping on some tea. He
sipping
wakes
tea
up,
like she always do.
Yep. And then she's like, oh, you're awake. I guess it must have worked. And he's like, I'll be right back. And then he runs out of the room. She's just sipping tea like normal. He walks back in. His shirt's unbuttoned. He's got a leather bracelet on, a big necklace, and oh man, it's so funny. And he's ripped, or not ripped. He's shredded. He's got
more so than normal Ayumu.
Yeah. He looks good. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to school. And she's like, oh, I guess it didn't work. And then everybody else wakes up, and they're like, wait, where'd he go?
This is also where the screenshot I sent you came from, the one that you mentioned,
Yep.
like, I'll have to kill you later.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
He throws, like, a wind gust and is like, you can tell a lot about a person by what they wear.
By what underwear they wear, yeah. And then he's like, oh, I guess that was the lust in me that escaped. It's hard to control everyone inside of me. Or something
it's
dumb
so
like
edgy.
That. It's so edgy and so cringy.
Much edge.
I love it. I love it so much. So he goes to school, and everybody else wakes up, and it's like, wait, where'd he go? And Dai's like, oh, he went to school. And they're like, you let him leave like that? Because they knew what he was dressed like somehow. They're like, you let him leave dressed like that? Which also, I just want to say, I love the fact that he had all of those clothing items, like all those accessories already. Like, I love that so much. Because, like, also, like, his, like, the weird sketchy self, which I think is his actual true self.
Yeah.
He was, like, getting super embarrassed. And, like, because I think these are all phases that he went through.
Possibly.
Or something, like, as a middle schooler. I thought it was really funny. And then he's at school, and everybody's like, oh, Ayuma's weird. And Dai Sensei comes in, because of course she's a teacher. And it's like, he's really weird. He's just not feeling great today. So just everybody leave him alone.
Yeah, because Dai Sensei is posed as a teacher at least once, and Haruna posed as a teacher at least once, and does so again in this episode.
Uh-huh. But then Haruna bursts in and says, God damn it. And kicks him out the window. And he says some more edgy bullshit. I think he says something like, oh, I'm back on this ground. It seems like me and this ground, we're going to have a long history together with all the fighting. Some bullshit like that. Some, like, cool, edgy, dumb.
May I sidetrack for a brief moment? Because there was a dumb segment before this part.
Go for it.
Because once we get through your part, we're done with the show.
Yes.
I didn't realize this was before them because I didn't actually write too much. But before they wipe his memory, I remember what the first trial was. It was basically just him in class while Haruna's teaching. She's trying to show the class how to make scrambled eggs using a philosopher's stone.
Yep. Well, I think she says fried eggs, but I think she's trying to show how to make her omelet.
Yeah.
Her rolled omelet. I don't know why they kept translating it as fried eggs for me.
Full clarity here. This segment is so stupid, and I loved it.
It's great, yeah.
She tries to make the fried eggs. It turns into slime and starts, like, growing. And Dai Sensei's like, oh, there's a really fine line between scrambled eggs and acidic slime.
Yeah. Because she puts a philosopher's stone in the egg.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, no, we don't have that. And she's like, oh, you can just use rubber instead.
Mm-hmm. And it starts, like, spreading through the entire classroom. It's growing, and it's getting worse, and it's acidic, but it doesn't dissolve people. This is anime, of course. It just dissolves clothes.
Except...
And Orito comments on this. What does it leave?
Gentleman slime.
Gentleman.
Because the only thing it doesn't dissolve is socks and panties. Or boxers or whatever.
There's no qualms about taking bras, though.
No. Free the nipple.
And so it just starts spreading through the classroom, and Ayuma's like, oh no, I've got to save them, because Haruna, Kaname, and Hiramatsu all get, like, trapped in it.
Yeah.
And so, like, he jumps in to save Kaname and Hiramatsu, and Kaname's like, get away from me! And he's like, we don't have time for this stupidity, and just throws them at Orito.
Yep.
And he catches her with his face. Yep. It's awful. Worst timeline.
He says gentleman slime again, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Because it ends up Dai Sensei, just, like, after all this chaos happens, she just dispels the slime. Yep. But it, like, splashes at her and she loses her lab coat. And so she's standing there in, like, minimal clothing. And Orito is just like, gentleman slime. And one of the best visual gags, in my opinion, Dai Sensei, while still covering herself, turns around, shatters Orito's glasses.
Yeah, and then his eyes do the, like, threes, and, like, oh, it's great. It's great, yeah. Well, because she's only wearing the gentleman's outfit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to call it that, actually.
It was such a stupid segment. It was so dumb. And I thought it had great energy. Especially because, again, Dai Sensei is one of my favorite characters. And seeing So, like, they officially start calling her Ariel or Ri or whatever. I'm going to call her Dai Sensei because that's what they called her all through the first season.
Yeah, go for it. That's what I'm going to call her too.
Dai Sensei had some of the, like, best one-lines, best visual gags, in my opinion. And so that's why that really stood out to me, is because the sequence is already stupid in premise. It goes over the top with Ayumu, and then it ends off with another excellent Dai Sensei gag. And I'm just like, okay, this is good.
It's good. It's like the exact energy I want from like a harem series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
I very much liked it. But now, jumping back to the future.
Yeah, it goes back into the actual finale.
We're at the final face-off here.
Mm-hmm.
Of Ayumu versus Haruna. And Haruna transforms, because she's able to do that now, I believe.
No, it's not Haruna that transforms.
No, she doesn't transform. But she, like... Yeah, because then Yu shows up, and Yu transforms.
Yeah.
And then...
and this is really cool, because she does the same thing she did in the first one, because, again, you can't speak, but the transform is done by key phrase. Right. Which, by the way... In the last episode, we mentioned that there were, like, editor's notes, and one of them was, like, if you read this phrase backwards, it translates as this, or something like that.
Yeah.
On my subs for Season 2, they didn't do a note like that. They translated it to English and wrote it backwards, and I'm like, I like that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think mine did that as well. I'm not 100% sure, though. I didn't look at it too closely.
But since you can't speak, she burns it into the ground, which is a really cool visual.
It's so cool. And then so then she transforms, and then, like, I think, then she just, like, impales, or no, she goes after, Ayumu. Ayumu dodges everything with his hands in his pockets. He's just so chill about it all.
Gotta be that edgy.
Yep. And then eventually, she, like, is able to trap him somehow. I don't remember how exactly. Do you remember?
I don't off the top of my head. I wrote more about the slime sequence, I'll be completely honest.
That's fair. But then she impales him with the chainsaw, and it's just going. And then Haruna comes in and grabs the chainsaw as well.
Yeah.
So it's like they're both holding the chainsaw, and then Ayumu's like, okay, I mean, this is fine. I'll come back. I'm a zombie. You made me a zombie, or whatever. And then Yu starts... like, one of my favorite sequences, I think, in the entire show... Yu starts showing him all of the old notes.
Yeah, which was a really good detail.
Yeah. And then eventually gets to one that just says, "Who are you?" And then that's what, like, it makes it click. And, like, the real Ayumu starts to come back. And then they slice him in half.
Yeah.
So
I would like to say in the old notes sequence, they showed one of my favorite notes in the first sequence. We didn't even talk about this in the last episode. I was sad.
Yeah.
When Ayumu and Yu first meet, he's like, "Oh, she's sad. I'll like ease her upset or whatever." And he starts breakdancing.
Uh-huh.
And it turns out, we find out later, again, she can't speak or show strong emotion.
Yeah.
And so when he asks, "What did you think of that?" she's like, "It was interesting, so don't do it again."
Yep.
And that was one of the notes she showed here, was it was interesting, so don't do it. And I'm like,
yeah, because she's showing all the notes from their first meeting, which I loved. I absolutely loved that.
That's a really good touch.
Great. Yeah.
It was a really good touch.
Yeah, this whole sequence was just done really well. I'm a sucker for, like, I don't know, I like when like, stories like this try to, like, delve into, like, what makes this character. Like, why, like, who is this character? I feel like they really did it fairly effectively here, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they showed, like, his bad side, because he had a bad side, but they, like, still showed his good side. I thought it was good. Yeah.
And so it was a good sequence. The problem I have, I can acknowledge that was really well done. The fight between Yu and Ayumu was definitely well done. But here's the problem. It ends there. It shouldn't end there. The whole season is built up about this conflict with Chris. They've done the last 6 episodes, not 6, like 4 episodes at this point, doing all of these things to figure out the weak points of Chris. Chris has just revealed herself as the big bad. And then they don't do it. They don't do it. It ends on something completely different. Well, it feels like an unfinished season.
what I will say is that the sequel OVA, I don't know, we didn't watch it obviously, but it is described as being episode 11.
Okay, that's fair.
And
I
on
guess.
the cover, Chris is one of the prominent figures along with you and Haruda.
That's
So
fair.
I feel
guess.
like it might like solve that issue. But
Possibly,
I get what you're saying.
But still, yeah, no.
I don't know.
This season
me-
was short, and it feels like they just didn't make the end. And if the OVA solves it, I guess that makes sense. But why not make the OVA part of the season? Why not end this very clear story arc in the season? It was 2 episodes shorter than a normal season.
Yeah, but like if they didn't have enough budget already, and this OVA was bundled with the manga, so maybe they were trying, because it's a light novel, right? So they might have been trying to get people to buy the manga adaptation, so they put the last episode in the manga. It's very possible, but I mean, I get what you're saying. I
don't drive with it, and I feel like
disagree with you.
One thing that we've
also,
said,
I just like also I didn't care about the Chris storyline. Really,
I mean, again, that's
I don't
fair.
think it like. I don't know. This whole season, it was very episodic, like I mentioned earlier. And so, like, I forgot, until you brought it up just now, didn't even think about that being a possible...
Okay. I'm gonna...
I don't know.
If I may, I would like to just have the floor for, like, a minute or two. Is that okay?
That's you. It's all you.
Okay. This honestly might be dipping into final thoughts, although we do still have one thing I would like to get to. Either before or after thoughts. We can do it after final.
All right, well, let's go. Let's go. We got
okay,
time
okay.
to waste it.
My thesis stays the same. The season was short. It feels like it really, really needed those last 2 episodes to finish the story it was trying to tell. The Chris story wasn't that interesting. I agree. But season 2 did not have near as strong of a story as season 1. But they did still try to tell an overarching story. All of the everything with Chris was the overarching story, and they didn't finish with it. And even if it is a budget thing, I don't think that necessarily excuses it, because one thing we've had this discussion on multiple shows is that we try to not take the budget into account unless it's like absolutely necessary. Looking at this from a purely story standpoint, it feels like they just didn't put the end on it. And I will take some of that back if the OVA does finish it. But if the OVA does finish it, it should have just been part of the series. Like, as is. It should have just been part of season 2.
Okay. I understand. I see.
Now, I will yield and let you respond here, because I asked for a moment. I will give you a moment.
Yeah. The thing with the Chris storyline, it didn't feel like a one-season storyline, right? It felt like it was something that was going to be continued later. And I don't... Like, there wasn't enough set up, I don't think, to have a finish to the arc. I think it needed more time. And so I think focusing on these smaller stories and ending with a pretty, I would say, relatively powerful story for Ayumu, it kind of like completes his character arc of the season of kind of like finding who he really is, you know, and like fitting in, because like that's how the season started. I know you didn't see that episode, but like it did start with him like trying to like, because then he couldn't erase people's memories, and then he was embarrassed about who he was, and like it's him like finding himself basically. I really liked that about it. I understand not finishing the Chris arc could be a little jarring, I guess, but I don't think it needed to be finished this season. It felt like something they kind of left open more for like a third season.
Okay.
I don't know.
I agree with you partially. Although I agree that the fight they ended on was a really good end to the season. In my opinion, it felt like the Chris story was supposed to be the main story of the season. Although it ended on a really, really good story note, it feels like it wasn't the story note they were building to. That feels like That feels like the final galvanizing act of the main characters before they confront the big bad. It was a good ending. It doesn't feel like the ending it was supposed to arrive at, in my view.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I do think that it feels like the Chris storyline was kind of just shoved in there.
Definitely.
And it wasn't like the main arc, which is one of my big complaints about it, is because I didn't care about the Chris storyline. Every time they brought it up, I was like, you're taking out the fun that I was having to put in this dumb storyline I don't care about. So,
which is kind of the issue that we had with the first season, is that the story... With the first season, we said the story and the humor didn't necessarily mesh, but they were both good. In this case, it felt like the story and the humor didn't mesh, but the story was tacked on.
I think this just, like, exacerbated the problem even more. Like, this showed really how bad the issue was. You know?
Yeah.
Where season one, it was like, okay, season one, like, it's a little disjointed, you know, maybe, I don't know, like, they were just trying, like, the source material, I don't know, something, but, like, this one, it definitely feels like they're just trying to fit it in wherever they can, when I don't think it needed to have a overarching story, where, like, something that, in the same genre, that I know both of us have seen, right? High School DD.
Okay.
That has
it depends on which season. I've only seen about half of it.
We're just gonna go on the first season, right?
Okay.
It has, but like generally, it has a good story, like something compelling, but it also has all the harem elements and comedy and everything you love.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why it's one of my favorite series, because everything feels natural. Like, I used to say this all the time in high school, but like, you come for the titty and you stay for the story, or as the old meme goes, you come for the plot and you stay for the plot. The first plot being the titty. But it's it just doesn't feel like this one. I don't know. It's like season one, they were trying to balance it instead of mesh them together. And in this one, it felt like they were trying to lean into the harem stuff and like the comedy, but then they were like, oh, we have to put in this story element too. Yeah. I don't know. I think this is kind of getting to our final thoughts.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do final thoughts, and then we can get to the other bit after it. Okay. Because it's not, like, mandatory. It's the best girl argument. So, like, I recommend y'all listeners out there stick around for that part.
Please do. It's going to be good.
Please do.
And, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go first. I've said
go ahead
basically my piece. Comedy's pretty fun. But the story, it's just, like, half the time I just didn't care. I like the one episode stories that it told, but it really kind of felt like a collection of OVAs that were like afterwards stitched together by this Chris story arc. So I don't know. I did like the attention that some of the more minor characters got. I think it was cool. Get to flesh them out a lot. And I think that is the aspect of the show that I love is the characters. They're all fun. They're all very distinct. And like I remember them. Like, even if I don't remember their name, I can picture them and I know, like, who they are, like, their personality and everything. But the story, the overarching story, it was just, it took me out of it every time that it was brought up. Except for the first episode. I think it was done really well there. But otherwise, just didn't care. So, yeah, this is I'm actually giving this a 6. So this is coming down from season 1. Though I did like I think I liked more of the individual episodes in this one. Just as a whole, it just... I would go back to season 1 before I come back to this one.
Yeah. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't have that much more to say. Honestly, that's kind of the same notes that I hit. My biggest complaint, again, my score has gone up from what I came into this recording session expecting.
Oh my god.
Finding out that there was a lot of basis for a lot of the issues I had that I just skipped because I'm a moron sort of resolves a lot of the issue. Yeah. But overall, again, characters were good. They developed on new characters. They even built, to a degree, on some of the old characters, although I will say, in my personal opinion, that some of the older characters got a little bit weaker as a trade-off.
Which ones? I'm curious.
I'll get into that, actually.
Okay.
But I feel like the humor... There was good humor in the first season. Don't get me wrong. They leaned into it a lot more for the second season, and I think it worked really, really well. But the story aspect, which as disjointed as it was in the first compared to the humor, was still good. The story aspect of the second one was disjointed while not being so good. So this season is definitely weaker than the first one, by a decent chunk. Not as big a chunk as I initially thought. I stand by the 8 that I gave the first season.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm actually going to agree with you and put this one at a 6. Maybe a 7. It has a chance to go up to a 7.
Because you have to watch the first episode.
Well, because I have to watch the first episode, but also because I do want to consider it a little bit more.
Yeah.
This is in the 6 to 7 range. I'm going to tentatively put it at a 6. I'm going to tentatively agree with you here. But it does have the chance to go up a little.
Yeah.
It was good. I enjoyed it. It is overall, it had some better sequences than the first season, but the first season as a whole was this but better, in my opinion.
Okay.
So tentatively a 6, agreeing with Seaweed, potentially a 7. We'll see if that changes.
Yeah. And like, I gave it a 6 because it, generally the good outweighed the bad, but only slightly. Because a 5 is my midpoint, where it's like perfectly even, perfectly average.
Yeah, whereas 6 is midpoint for me.
Yeah. But, all right, I guess it's time for the best girl debate?
Yeah. I would like to lead in, if I may actually start this, because I want to bring in some context. I want to bring in some context from the last episode. I started off the very beginning of the episode. Not even the beginning of the best girl debate. The beginning of the lost episode. I struck Seaweed with a challenge. Uh-huh. We started recording, and I was like, before we get anywhere, when we talk about best girl, you will guess mine wrong. And the thing is, he did.
First, I got it on the second try, though.
Yeah, I also got yours on the second try.
But mine was not as odd.
Fair.
I think.
I was very surprised.
But still, yes, I did get it. I did get yours wrong.
Yeah. I expected him to choose Seraphim for me, because that's what I expected to be going for in season 1.
And I expected him to choose Sarasvati.
Which was weird, because she had like 3 lines in season 1.
It just seemed like his type of... I don't know. They're like... I knew it wasn't you, even though she has white hair, and that's kind of his thing.
I will admit, Sarasvati did grow on me in the second season once her role expanded. Yeah. Like, I'll admit, she's a fun character. She's not best girl. No, the reason I went out on a limb, the reason I was confident he would get it wrong, is because my choice initially was Haruna. Which, for anyone who has seen these episodes, or anyone who knows me personally, if you're one of my friends watching this podcast, thank you, you're the best.
Thank you.
Anyone who knows me knows that is really out of character for me. She fits... It
is. Yeah.
Not necessarily the tsundere, but the other half of the archetype. I think I compared her to... I can never remember her name, the main character from School Live.
From you said Data Live?
From Gakugarashi.
Oh, Yuki.
Yeah. Usually that's that's sort of like super energetic, fun, but kind of dumb character. That's not my thing. But Haruna in season 1 really, really grew on me, to the point that I chose her, and I was confident John was going to... Oh, no!
I don't care.
I was confident that he was going to get it wrong, and he did.
Yeah, I did. I will take the L.
So I'm not going to ask you who best girl is, who you think my best girl is. I'm going to ask if you think my opinion changed or not after this season.
Okay. Well, I'm going to answer, but then I'm going to give my reasoning why before you say anything.
Please do.
I think it did. I don't think Haruna is your best girl. Because after hearing you talk about all the character, like after we've talked about the whole show and everything, And also, you said she was my favorite.
Oh, did I accidentally past tense it?
Yeah, I don't think but like, I didn't think she was going to stay your favorite anyways. Because she went farther into that dumb, like the dumb excited trope this season. And I didn't think you would be down for more. I thought that Haruno was kind of like your limit on that bit, you know?
Yeah.
So that's my reasoning.
I'll affirm that. That's exactly the reason my opinion changed, is because she drifted away from the aspects of the character that I really, really enjoyed in season 1 and dipped more into the exaggerated part of it that I was like, okay, yeah, it's a little off-putting, but I can get by with it. Yeah. So you've hit that right on the head.
Okay.
Problem is, I can't answer who is best. I'll be completely honest, because the two that are currently in the running, as much as I really like both of them, neither of them have enough development for me to confidently say. And that should give away which two I'm considering right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of them is Sarasvati, I think.
No.
God.
It's still not Sarasvati. She grew on me this season, but no, she's not. I don't know why you're so dead set on that.
Then it's Mihara and Hiramatsu.
It is Dai Sensei and Nene.
Oh my god, I'm done, dude. I quit the podcast, bro.
I can't believe I've trounced you this thoroughly.
You did better this time, and I should have known, because you talked about Nene and Dai Sensei this episode so much. Like, these are my favorite characters.
They're both really good. They don't have fleshed out enough characters as most of the others in this season.
Yeah.
Like, they're definitely not as built up as main cast.
Oh, no.
But any scene that either of them are in, I absolutely love. They're both really, really good. That is like the best argument I can give for Best Girl on either of them, is they are good.
Yeah. Okay. So now, last time, you thought it was Seraphim initially for Best Girl. For me.
No, I had guessed that yours was going to be you.
Oh yeah, you did say you. That's right. Because you said it wasn't Seraphim.
Yeah, no, Seraphim is like the only one I would not believe you had picked.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you is good. You was not my best girl. Yuki was my best girl in season 1.
Which was my second pick, and I'm very proud of that, because 2 guesses is really, really fast for me.
Yeah. But she's not too far away from my like general best girl pick, you know?
Yeah.
She tries hard, she does her best. Good girl. She's a good girl.
Yeah, because I think the way I introduced it was, it's either going to be you or Yuki, and my guess is you, and you were like, almost.
Yeah, yep. And then you chose you. You like barely were like, I think it's you. Because I made you choose one of the two. So I'll present you with the same question. Do you think my best girl has changed after watching season 2?
No, I don't think so.
Why?
Unless you made this absolutely mystical swap to Sarasvati for some reason. I don't think Yuki's character changed enough. So unless a new character came in that really blew you away, I think you're going to stick with your choice.
Well, yeah, I guess you're shit out of luck then, buddy.
Oh no!
She's still my second favorite. Did
you swap over to you?
No, I did not swap over to you.
Dang, I didn't get backwards and say Yumu then, obviously. Okay, go for it.
You don't have any other guesses?
No, I'm going to take the L here. I don't know where you're going from that point. Because if it's not either of the ones I would suspect, unless you're also on the Nene train, but I don't think so.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, no, so, I don't know where you're going with it.
Mine's a bit of a dark horse pick, I think.
Really? Okay.
I kind of alluded to it earlier in the episode.
Yeah, but I'm dense, so I wouldn't have picked up on it.
Well, my best girl for season 2. I don't know if it's like overall best girl. It's like still, I kind of separate the two. But it's got to be Hiramatsu.
Okay,
Taiko Hiramatsu.
That's fair.
She's just so precious and like pure and innocent, and like she seems like she'd be so fun to hang out with.
She like legitimately cares for Ayumu. She's the one who's always like, "Are you doing okay? Do you need to get help?"
She's great, and she's cute. I like what she does with her hair.
Yeah, it's really good. I didn't think you would have. I didn't think you would have chosen her because when I talked about her earlier in the episode, you're just like, yeah, she's just kind of there.
Well, no. What I said was that she got shafted the most on her.
Okay.
On what happened with her.
That's fair.
Because she's such a good character, but like she doesn't like nothing like story wise happens, but she gets like good character development. I don't know. I like her a lot. She's great. Yuki is still my number 2 though. Love Yuki. And if I had to put like number 3 is tied. I will say number 3 is tied with you. Use number 3. And Sarasvati, she's coming back, baby.
Really?
Oh man, yeah. She was just fun. I don't know. Yeah,
every scene she was in, definitely Sarasvati was definitely a lot better.
Yeah.
In season
especially
2
in the season. Yeah. She had much more character. She wasn't just like a cardboard cutout. But,
so if I may make a broad TLDR here, I think we've learned the same thing we always have. You have so much of a better read on me than I do on you. Because you didn't even just follow my switch. You followed it with the reasoning, too.
Yeah.
You didn't guess what I changed to, but you knew I changed and you knew why I changed.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and where you didn't even know I changed.
Because that was fair, because, like, again, in the last episode, that's going to be my favorite phrase this time around, is in the last episode.
It's a good one. Drink every time, take a shot every time you said, don't do that, actually.
Don't do that.
That's not drinking responsibly.
I went on this, like, super impassioned, I wasn't even that drunk. I was just on Angry Orchard, but I had, like, this super impassioned speech about, I normally wouldn't go for this character, but Haruna is great because this, and this. And you're exactly right. They took all of that and we're just kind of like, meh.
That's not what makes
Yandere.
Her good. Yeah. Not Yandere. Tsundere.
Or Tsundere. Sorry, whatever.
Yandere is the one that kills.
Yeah, no. I realized it after I said it. I need to learn my terminology again.
It's Yandere, Tsundere, Dandere, and Dere.
You knew what I was getting at, though.
Oh, Kudere. Kudere is also.
You knew what I was trying to say.
Yeah. I knew what you meant. But I think that's about all the time we have for this episode.
That's about that. What are we watching next week, friend? It is your pick.
Yes, it is mine. I remembered. I didn't forget.
I have the sticky note if you need it.
No, I got it. So we're going to be watching Inuyashiki.
Should I make the same joke I've made every single time?
Don't.
You mean Inuyasha?
All right. Now that's out of the way. We don't have to make that next episode. It's by the same guy who did Gantz, which I love Gantz. I have seen this show. I'm not going to say anything about it now, obviously, because we got a whole episode about that coming up. But I think it'll be an interesting time. I showed you a clip, and you were like, "Ooh, this is not good.
It's not my cup of tea." You said it was a pretty infamous clip.
It is. It's the One Piece like murder clip. And if you just search that, you should be able to figure it out. Yeah, it's good. I like it. I think it's hilarious, but a very infamous clip. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll get to it next time. Should be fun. I don't know. It's a weird show.
It's gonna go some way. I suppose we'll all find out together, won't we?
That's for sure. All right, man. Well, I think with that, I guess that's. We got any other news? Oh yeah, we got a plug.
I really don't want to redo the shill segment. We did a shill segment, and I hated every second of it.
I'll shill. Follow me on YouTube. Go subscribe to my channel. I'm releasing videos now. It's pretty cool. Go follow both of us on Twitter. I'm just at CWDMB. He's at Epic Wob. Go follow us both. You'll see updates for the podcast and funny memes, and you can follow my YouTube uploads, which is pretty cool. Go check us out on Anchor if you're watching on YouTube. Go check us out on YouTube if you're watching on Anchor. You get to see video of us. We're also on anywhere you listen to podcasts.
YouTube so like has Apple, video. Anchor has portability.
Exactly.
Pick your style.
Exactly. And if you would like to support us, we do get ad revenue from Anchor, or like anywhere else you would listen.
Anchor and its subsidiary uploads.
Yeah. So like Apple, whatever. All the audio uploads we get ad revenue from. And if you would just like to donate to us, there is a support button on our Anchor page. And if you support us, we'll shout your name out in the episode, just like screenshot that you did and send one of us a DM on Twitter. Probably me. I think my DMs are open. Just send me a DM on Twitter, and we'll shout you out.
Yeah, I don't remember what my Twitter settings are.
Yeah.
I'm not as proficient with it. I'm an old man.
I know mine are open, so but like you don't have to. It's totally fine. We're here because we like doing it. It's fun.
I'm here because dang it, I wanted to create something.
Yeah, exactly, dog. That's what we like to hear. All right, well, I think that'll be it. We'll see you guys next week on episode 18 of A Shot of Weeb.
Right here on the same platform you already watch it on.
Unless you're changing to a new one this time.
We are on every platform. No, we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah. Peace.